Good morning, all of you. So, today we are going to start a new chapter. That is your second chapter, Sectors of Indian Economy. So, whenever you hear the word economy, it will always be related to money. ठीक है, जहाँ से पैसे आते हैं या जिस भी मोड से, या तो ट्रेड से और बाय प्रोवाइडिंग सर्विसेज, बाय ट्रेडिंग, सेलिंग ऑफ देयर गुड्स, इफ यू आर गेटिंग मनी आउट ऑफ इट, दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर इकोनॉमी. सो योर इंडियन इकोनॉमी सिस्टम you'll be reading today. हमारी इंडियन इकोनॉमी जो है वो वेरियस सेक्टर्स में डिवाइडेड है, लाइक प्राइमरी, सेकेंडरी एंड टर्शरी. Okay, so we'll be reading about it in detail. We'll also read the contribution of all these three sectors in GDP. That is, how much do they contribute, कितना किससे प्रॉफिट आता है, किसने ज्यादा लोगों को एम्प्लॉय करके रखा है, जिसमें ज्यादा किस सेक्टर ने ज्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेट किया है. ऑल दिस विल बी रीडिंग टुडे. सो लेट अस स्टार्ट. Sectors of economic activities. Let us look at these pictures. You'll find that people are engaged in various economic activities. Some of these activities producing goods, some others are producing services. So, there are various, if you see these pictures, you can see here that this person is selling newspaper, or he must be giving the letter, postman, potter is there, they are making bricks. The lady is, these two ladies are also doing the work. One is selling cloth, other is working in the field. So, in some places we provide services, and in some places we make goods. Okay, like if you talk about a potter, you talk about a doctor, you talk about a teacher. In these profession, you provide service, you do not provide them goods. But if you talk about a retailer, a shopkeeper, a vegetable vendor, they provide you with goods. So economic activity includes both. When even if you are providing services or you are providing goods, it falls under the category of economic activity. Now let us see. There are many economic activities that are undertaken by directly using natural resources. Take for example the cultivation of cotton. It takes place within a crop season. For the growth of cotton crop, we mainly depend mainly but not entirely on natural factors like rain, sunshine, and climate. The product of this activity, cotton, is a natural product. Similarly, in the case of an activity like dairy, we depend on biological process of animal and availability of fodder, etc. The product here, milk, is also is a natural product. Similarly, minerals and ores are also natural products. When they are produced a good by exploiting natural resource, it is the activity of the primary sector. So what is a primary sector? When we produce a good, or any good is produced, and the dependency of production is directly on the nature, like production of milk, dairy products, production of farm products. All these have closely, you can say, they are related to agriculture, or their dependency is directly or indirectly on nature. So they are called as the primary products. Okay, and these fall under the category जिस मेथड से इन्हें एक्सप्लॉइट किया जाता है, इन्हें अपने काम में लाया जाता है, that particular sector is called as the primary sector. Sector को हम कहते हैं primary sector. Why primary? This is because it forms the base for all the other products that we subsequently make. Since most of the natural products we get are from agriculture, dairy, fishing, forest, etc., this sector is also called agriculture or related sector. So this sector is also called as primary sector, is also called as agriculture or related sector. And related sector, why? Because most of the products that we receive in primary sector is very closely related to natural things like agriculture, dairy, fishing, and forestry. Okay, so this was all about primary sector. So kids, what you have to basically remember is that primary का मतलब ही होता है in its raw form. Initially किसी बिल्कुल रॉ फॉर्म में जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स आप रिसीव करें वो प्राइमरी है. जैसे वीट, कॉटन बॉल, ये सब क्या है? प्राइमरी प्रोडक्ट है, बिकॉज यू आर रिसीविंग इट इन इट्स रॉ फॉर्म, बिल्कुल नेचुरल फॉर्म में आप उसे रिसीव कर रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाई दे आर अंडर प्राइमरी सेक्टर, विच इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज एग्रीकल्चर एंड रिलेटेड सेक्टर. नाउ the secondary sector, your second sector is your secondary sector. The secondary sector covers activity in which natural products are changed into other forms through the way of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activity. So in secondary sector, जब primary products में value add कर दी जाती है, they become a secondary product. Okay. Now, like cotton balls, when they are weaved into a cloth, they become a secondary product. So basically, all this is done where it is done in industries or in factories. So there they become the part of secondary sector, which is popularly called as manufacturing sector, that you'll be reading further. Now, it is the next step after primary. The product is not produced by nature but has to be made, and therefore some process of manufacturing is essential. This could be in a factory or a workshop or at home. For example, using cotton fiber from the plants, we spin yarn and weave cloth. Using sugarcane as raw material, we make sugar or good. We convert earth into bricks and use bricks to make houses and buildings. Since this sector gradually become associated with different kind of industries, that come up, it is called as industrial sector. So why is it called as industrial sector? Because it most of the value is added in the industries or in the factories. So this is also secondary sector is also called as industrial sector or manufacturing sector, because here nothing is produced naturally, rather it is manufactured with the help of the machines and in the factories. Now, after primary and secondary, there is a third category of activities that fall under tertiary sector. Now, one thing you have to remember, what is the basic difference between the primary, secondary and tertiary is that primary, secondary, in these two sectors production takes place. ठीक है, कुछ ना कुछ produce हो रहा है, but in tertiary sector no production takes place. This is the sector that provides services. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कोई भी प्रोडक्शन नहीं होती. ऐसा नहीं है कि वीट ग्रो किया जाता है या वीट से बिस्किट्स बनते हैं. नो प्रोडक्शन टेक्स प्लेस, बट दे हेल्प इन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन. प्राइमरी प्रोडक्ट को फैक्ट्री तक ले जाना, फैक्ट्री से मार्केट तक ले जाना, टू प्रोवाइड लोन्स, बैंकिंग, दे ऑल फॉल अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ tertiary sector. So basically they aid primary as well as secondary sector. Now let us see. After primary and secondary, there is a third category of activities that fall under tertiary and is different from the above two. There are activities that help in the development of primary and secondary sector. These activities by themselves do not produce a good, but they are an aid or a support for production process. For example, goods that are produced in primary and secondary would need to be transported by trucks or trains and then sold in the wholesale and retail shop. At times, it may be necessary to store these in godowns. We also need to talk to others over phone or send letters and borrow money from banks to help production and trade. Transportation, storage, communication, banking, trade are some example of tertiary activities. Since these activities generate services rather than goods, the tertiary sector is called as the service sector. Okay, so understood why tertiary sector is called as service sector? Because here no production takes place. It's not that things are being produced. No production takes place, but what is being done here is the services are being provided. ठीक है, यहाँ पे कोई प्रोडक्शन नहीं होती, ऐसा नहीं है कि कुछ प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है, बट दे प्रोवाइड सर्विसेज लाइक ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, बैंकिंग में आप लोन ले सकते हैं, बोरो कर सकते हैं, लेंड कर सकते हैं मनी को. ओके, दे कम्युनिकेशन लाइक योर फोन, स्टोरेज, योर गोडाउन, स्टोर हाउसेज, ये सब कोल्ड स्टोरेज जहाँ पे वेजिटेबल्स स्टोर करते हैं. ओके, सो ऑल दीज दे फॉल अंडर द कैटेगरी ऑफ tertiary sector, which is popularly called as the service sector. So let us quickly revise. Your primary sector is called as the agriculture. It is called as agriculture and related sector. Your secondary sector is called as the industrial sector or the manufacturing sector, and your tertiary sector is called as the service sector. Now, let us see. Service sector also includes some essential services that may not directly help in production of goods. For example, we require teachers, doctors, and those who provide personal services such as washerman, barber, cobbler, lawyers, and people to do administrative and accounting work. In recent time, certain new services based on information technology such as internet cafe, ATM booths, call center, software companies, etc. has become important. So there are some other factors also जहाँ पे ये help नहीं कर रही हैं बाकी sectors को, but they are helping you to modify your life, to make your life busy. Okay, like barber, cobbler, then your IT industries, your ATM booths. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि cobbler आपको कोई primary और secondary में activity में help करा, but cobbler's work is what? To mend your shoes. Okay, to stitch a new shoes for you. So all these they are also providing their services in a way जहाँ पे वो कुछ produce नहीं कर रहे हैं, but they are helping you. Now see here. Example of economic activities. This table 2.1 you need to do. First one I'll be doing, and then rest of the part you have to do it in your copy. Imagine what would happen if farmer refuses to sell sugar cane to a particular sugar mill. The mill will have to shut down. So अगर एक फार्मर है जो कि शुगर केन प्रोड्यूस कर रहा है, he refuses to sell his sugar cane to the sugar mill, what will happen? The sugar mill has to shut down. Why? Because there will be no raw material. और जब तक raw material नहीं होगी, sugar mill won't be able to function. Okay. This is an example of secondary or industrial sectors being dependent on primary. Definitely, all you can say nearly almost all the industrial sector or secondary sector is dependent on primary sector or agriculture and related sector for their raw materials. Now, see here next. Imagine what would happen to the cotton cultivators if companies do not decide not to buy from Indian market and import all cotton they need from other countries. Indian cultivators will become less. Indian cultivation will become Indian cotton cultivation will become less profitable, and the farmers may even go bankrupt if they cannot quickly switch to other crops. Cotton prices will fall. So here, what it is shown that primary product is dependent on the secondary sector. Primary sector is also dependent. How? Because if they are producing raw material, definitely they are producing all these cash crops to sell in the market, and if people are not buying it, that will bring loss to them. Okay, so these other two blanks we'll be doing as well as this. Let's work this out in your copies. Now let us see your next topic, that is comparing the three sectors. So if you compare the all these three sectors of economy, what will you see? Basically see is that how they are interdependent. कैसे ये लोग आपस में एक दूसरे पे कितने ज्यादा डिपेंडेंट है. All this will be reading today. Okay, but before that you have to do the activities that I have said you in your copies. Okay, now the various production activity in primary, secondary and tertiary sector produce a very large number of goods and services. Also, the three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. So, it's not that primary is more important or secondary is more important or tertiary is less important. It's not so. Rather, every sector in Indian economy, these three sectors are very, very important. Okay, and their contribution their contribution in the GDP cannot be denied. They not only produce things, but they also provide employment to the people. There are large number of people who are employed in producing these goods and services. Also, the three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. The next step, therefore, is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector. In an economy, there could be one or more sector which are dominant in terms of total production and employment, while other sectors are relatively smaller in size. So, one thing can be possible. It is not that all the three sectors will produce 33.33%. Rather, some sector will produce more. Will contribute more to the GDP. Some will contribute less to the GDP. Some will employ more number of people, and others will employ less number of people. Like for example, I'll tell you, in primary sector, more people are required. Why? Because their work is done more manually than by machines. Whereas in secondary sector, one single person can operate a machine, and that machine can produce thousands of goods. Okay, so it is it varies. It is not that the sector that has produced the maximum person will produce the maximum profit. Okay, now let us see how do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? So how do we calculate all this? This is with the final goods and services. जब किसी भी product का final goods का जब price लेते हैं, by that way we come to know कि किस sector का कितना contribution है. So by this time you have to just read this much. In the next video I'll be sending the other things. So what you have to do is you have to do this table 2.1 and let's work this out in your copies. Thank you so much.